Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, home of the BitSquad, the largest crypto community in all of the interwebs. And congrats again to Ben for making this all possible. You're killing it, man. You're killing it. Even though you're trying to make me latte boy, you're doing a great job. We love you, man. We all love you here. All right, this is Around the Blockchain. We're at you Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern, giving you all the hot topics that you want to hear about with your favorite guests. And today we got a great show. We have a first-timer. They've been requesting. We've been trying to get them on. We finally, the stars and the moons have aligned. And Ada Gang, I know you're going to love it. It is Dan from Crypto Capital Venture coming around. Hey, Dan, glad to have you here. We also have CryptoFace. He's the Tommy Edison of market indicators is what I like to call him. And we also have Tom Crown holding it down, stunting in the shades as always. And then the man, the myth, the legend himself, soon to be featured on a documentary, Bear Market. That's a load of bull. But I think maybe at least one of our guests may disagree with that, but we'll get into that in a little bit. And if you like what the guests are saying, make sure to hit +1 in the chat. We'll give them a point at the end of the show. Whoever has the most points gets to tell the people what they need to hear. All right, we got some great topics today. We got Bulls versus Bears, and we're not talking about Chicago Bulls and the Chicago Bears, like what's the best sports team in Chicago. No, we're talking about the bull market and the bear market. We're going to have some hot takes. I can't wait for that. Cardano, boom or bust. We all know where BJ, our technical director, stands, but that's a whole nother story. And when can ETH pass 2K? It's been hanging out in the trenches, and like Crypto Windio predicted a week ago, if it doesn't hold that support, it's going to dump down. That's why you watch this show, so you can get this hot tips first before anybody else. So, all right, let's check out the market. The market's been pretty bad. I mean, nothing else needs to be said. It's down. It looks like it maybe found a little bit of a bottom. It looks like it might be coming back up a little bit. Ben, I just want to, without looking at any charts or anything, what's your take on the markets? I mean, are we looking good towards the rest of the week? You see it still going down? What's your take here?
Yeah, so I think that, we've said mid-July for a while. I think, we knew the grayscale unlock was going to lead to kind of some uncertainty, but I think that people were expecting to dump over the weekend. It didn't really happen. Then today we got a little bit of a dip. But over the weekend, it was more of a slow and methodical drop. I know CryptoFace will talk about Market Cipher here in a little bit, but, Market Cipher showing a yellow X on the daily with the regular candles. So that's not exactly quite bullish. We had a green dot yesterday at the bottom of Market Cipher, meaning the prices should be going up. Then we got the yellow X. That will usually negate it. So in my opinion, I think that we'll probably see another green dot here pretty soon. I said this morning on the stream, $30,700 is the new line of support. It dipped a little bit below that, but, I just refreshed it. It's still right there. It hasn't really moved all day. It's been sitting around the same level. So that support line is pretty strong. I know that, I've told you guys 32,000 was the battle point. We've now went below that. The institutions in the manipulation are trying to get it to 28,000. That is the number where they want to accumulate at. But the problem is, even if it drops down to 28,000 and bounces right back, it's not enough time for them to really accumulate. So I think they're getting a little exhausted here. If you really look at what's been going on, think about this. The fact that we've been hovering between $30,000 and $35,000 for weeks now, knowing with all of the FUD, all of the stuff trying to push the prices down, the retail sentiment around these numbers is still strong. People still want to buy Bitcoin around 30,000. The whales are accumulating. Look at the charts. Reserve exchanges or exchange reserves are plunging. So, I'm still bullish. I don't know what to say other than that.
A lot of that FUD seems like a load of bull then. And yeah, we were talking about the candles there. It is the lowest weekly close since December, actually. It's dipped down below, but the weekly, it always closed above, where the last one closed. So, I mean, that's definitely not, a bullish indicator. The lowest close in 8 months, 7 and some change, depending on how you look at it. It's pretty rough out there. It took a big dive below the 31, but there is a little bit of hope, on the horizon. It looks like the buy and sell orders on Binance are showing considerable demand at 27,000. I know our last recent low, it dipped to 28.5. Crypto, I'll bring it straight to you. I know you have, certain takes. It's going to go lower. It's going to go lower. What support would it bounce off of for you to say, what, the bull market's back on?
Oh, man, I have no idea. But love your intro, dude, where you're just like, boom, boom, you know what I'm saying? So that's cool, DZ. Thanks. It's good to be back, guys.
Thank you, man. I learned from the best, and I watch your streams all the time, too, man. You crushed it yourself.
Oh, dude, thank you. I appreciate that. And, I wanted to come on with you, too, on the next episode I did. I first thing, as far as market cipher and the what we like to call BitBoy green dots. To be honest, for this past year, a lot of people, especially new people to trading in market cipher, got a little bit spoiled. Green dots don't mean that the price is going to go up from there. It just means that it is a bottom. And in bear markets, you'll see, or in sell-offs, I don't even want to say bear market, but in sell-offs, there can be green dots, and that can just mean the price stays there for a second and keeps on going down. It just takes a breather for a second. Not saying there's no hope there, though. Man, there's a lot of different things a lot of different ways we can go. And I know a lot of people, want to be bullish and, number one channel. And so I get the position that you're in, man. But, there's so many standard technical analysis indications of fundamental technical, the massive head and shoulders. I know a lot of people are talking about how Bitcoin's never came down from like a previous all-time high to wherever it was before. Well, Bitcoin has never closed under the 200-day moving average and not gone down significantly lower. So, pick your poison. Which one's going to be wrong? Doesn't mean there can't be, moves back up, but never back to all-time highs. Bitcoin has never gone back to an all-time high after closing on the 200-day moving average. The descending triangles. And, if you just look back, listen, when things die out and they get slow, it has to search for volatility. And it doesn't work going up right now. It works going down. And, when we're going down to when it wicks there, it eventually goes there. And I believe we wicked to 28,000 something, if I'm not correct. And so, it's possible over the next 4 or 5 to 10 days, we kind of just like slowly creep down there instead of having a big dump. But, it's nasty out there right now. It's hard to stream, if you're in a short or if you're not bullish, because these bulls try to bully you, man. And, you know what? Listen, as far as bulls and bears, I don't want to take up too much time, but no one has a pet bull. There are people who have pet bears, and bears are like
True.
dogs. They just want some berries and attention sometimes. And if you don't give it to them, they'll kill you real quick. But if you do, they can protect you. So, man.
Yeah, unless it's a koala bear, in which case they probably want penicillin because, as far as I know, rampant STDs. But it's like Crown Chakra says, it got to go up, but then it goes down. And hopefully we're going to go back up pretty soon. So, Dan, I want to bring it to you. I'm glad you made it on the show. You're one of the first channels I would watch, pretty regularly. You taught me a lot about reading, some of these chart indicators. I believe you reference Investopedia.com. I might have that incorrect, where, you look at classical trading patterns, head and shoulders, rising wedges and everything. And, you're pretty good with like giving certain percentages, it'll go up, certain percentages, it goes down. So one of the main events we had over the weekend was Grayscale unlocking about 16,000 Bitcoin. Now, in your opinion, was that one of the main catalysts for it driving downward, or was that what the charts were indicating already?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely a confluence of that news, which is obviously recently leading to some FUD with the charts. There's a descending triangle that, pretty much everybody has been tracking with a short-term target into the 20,000s. And by the way, it's the patternsite.com by Bolkowski. I use so much of his data. It's so on point. Yeah. The volatility of Bitcoin and crypto kind of try and, compensate for that. But, even the descending triangle into the 20,000s, based on data that I track, descending triangles in the middle of bull markets, and this is a pretty big descending triangle. Bull market results are 53% to the upside, and that's like very close to 50-50. So it doesn't really help us much in that regard. But I think the Grayscale, the unlocking of GBTC is just been adding just this negative bearish sentiment. And it doesn't have to be like that, and the markets, crypto Twitter, crypto YouTube, on a very surface level, you can just tell that, especially the emotional investors, they're reacting to that. And that could be what's driving price down a little bit right now. There's just a lot of fear. It happens. But what I try and do is I try and zoom out on the charts. And what we know is, a few things. Whales are accumulating.
Yep.
The inflows of Bitcoin to smaller wallets are increasing. So that means retail is accumulating. The weekly is approaching very oversold. We had the MACD cross, that terrible looking bearish cross a couple months ago. So in my mind on the macro, like the worst, the pain, the Band-Aid being ripped off, like that has occurred. And now we're just chilling. Could we go into the 20,000s? Maybe. Yeah, obviously. But now it's like kind of when we get these dips in crypto, and if you've been here for years, you know this, get these dips, 40%, 50%, 60%, 70% for some altcoins. It's the doorway of opportunity just being opened just a little bit. Yeah. Maybe there's more downside, but this is where we should start thinking about, what's your accumulation plan look like? What's your risk tolerance look like? And that's different for everybody. But I think it's such a short-term thing. It's a little blip on the radar, the grayscale stuff. And I personally haven't even been paying too much attention to it.
Yeah, and like Dan said, whales are accumulating. There's this mega whale that we briefly touched on in the morning stream. He just bought 30,000 Bitcoin over the weekend. 30,000 Bitcoin. Meanwhile, this entity controls 144,000 Bitcoin. I mean, we're talking lots of money, a lot of money. That's a whole lot of Bitcoin. Now, Tom, I want to ask you. You've been in this, you've been in this space for a long time. Who do you think these giant whales are? Are these all institutions, or is there any chance these are just people who are really into Bitcoin super early and they move with the markets, or is this just all institutional money?
Yeah, that's a great question. I wish I knew who they were. I'd invite them to my birthday party.
Yeah,
they're kind of the bigger the
Tom,
actor,
Tom,
the less you're gonna know.
Tom, is that where y'all can watch the moon together and pick out the prices of Bitcoin based on where the moon is in the sky?
That's what we do. I'm gonna invite them to my moon parties, right?
That was a great video, bro. I really enjoyed that one.
Thank you, man. I edited that myself.
It was great.
Nice.
I liked it. Good job.
Appreciate it. The bigger they are, the less we're going to know about them. These people, when you get into crypto trading, you'll hear people, I'm up all this money. And it's always the vocal people are the small traders. They have not a lot to lose, not a lot to gain, and they're sharing their wins. The big players are in the shadows. It doesn't mean they're evil or bad. They're just not going to parade it around the internet that they're whales. So I don't know. I think it's probably a split between institutions and individual parties. Yeah.
All right. Well, Ben, can you be our Captain Ahab real quick here? So the options market, they're seeing a increased demand for lower strike puts, and a put is, you're betting on it to go down. A call is you're betting on it to go up. However, it's still largely bullish looking at years in puts and calls for December. So around December, what do you see? Do you think these are just going to continue to suppress the price, or will there finally be an end to the bleeding? Or, as Dan said, will the Band-Aid finally get ripped off and, we're still going to see a pump? Or is it too late? Because I know you said high around October, November. Will it be going down by then?
Yeah. I don't think 20,000. I don't think $20,000 or $25,000 is a bad price for the end of the year, to be honest with you, because I think we are going to see. Really, probably closer to $50,000 though, because if we see the price of Bitcoin go up to 100,000, like I think we still are, and then we see a 50% correction in the first 2 months of the bear market, that would put it around probably 50,000 at the end of the year. But I could also see it being 25,000. It could be a little more dramatic of a drop. I think we're going to see some stuff, just like you saw today with the markets, right? This is what we're really not talking about today, which is the stock market saw its biggest fall ever today, I believe. Isn't that correct? I think the NASDAQ went down 3,000 points or something like that. I was just looking at it briefly. Yeah, they say it was the largest amount of points that it fell in a day. Somebody checked that. I read a headline that said that, but I believe
it was the Dow in 2021. Biggest drop in the Dow so far in 2021. Last time I checked, it was like 800.
Maybe that's what it was.
I haven't looked at it in the past couple hours.
Whatever it was, I was seeing some headlines, some really bad stuff about the stock market right now. So that's what we're not factoring into, like this drop we had in Bitcoin today, which is markets overall are down. I think at the end of the year, we're going to see a little bit more. We're going to see some dramatic stuff from the traditional markets. I really believe that. And that could also have an impact and make the bear market maybe not worse, but maybe hit a lot faster. We got regulation stuff. We got job report stuff. We got into the Q3. A lot of that stuff lining up for when Bitcoin should kind of be topping out. When I said it was going to top out for the last year and a half. So we'll have to see kind of how that factors in play. So I don't think that's extremely bearish. They're putting those. But I will tell you what's interesting is one of my guys that is a really large whale on the traditional and the crypto markets.
And chat, hashtag I got a guy. Could we go ahead, hit that like button, hit hashtag I got a guy. All right.
Hashtag I got a guy.
Let's get
Do you
those
got a
likes
man?
up.
Do you got a man?
You're my guy.
Yeah, I'm your guy. I like that. But he sent me an article that was basically saying about the $22,000 and $20,000 puts. He said it's really interesting that that's all they mentioned because he personally has several of them that are much, much higher and knows of several other people that have much higher ones. But they're not talking about that. They're only talking about the bearish stuff. As you know, CoinDesk is the leader of, the financial cartel digital currency group. So they're trying to FUD the prices. But I still think that might actually be kind of a realistic price for the end of the year, but we will see a run-up before that.
Okay, so you're saying we're still in the bull market here.
I still believe it 100%. I mean,
right, so
until we get to
you.
August. Yeah, thank you, Tom. What does the moon say, Tom? What does the moon say? Until we
missed it.
We missed it. Until we get to August and we're still like when we start getting to August and September and the prices are still down, we will have to recalibrate. But I don't think we're going to see that.
Okay, sorry. So Dan, where do you say bull or bear market? 2 mammals enter, 1 mammal leaves. Where are we at right now?
Bull market, 100%.
All right, and CryptoFace, you might be the lone dissenter here. What say you?
I mean, listen, it depends on the time frame you're looking at. I'll say it, said it before, say it again. Listen, the price can go down 85%. Ethereum looks exactly the same like it did before, went down 90%. It looks exactly the same. When you pull up the cycle chart, when it goes into anxiety and disbelief, you pull up that chart, you take a look at Ethereum, they look exactly the same. Listen, if you're a Michael Saylor, long-term hodler, then you got nothing to worry about, maybe, as far as like Bitcoin specifically goes. And you can always catch the next bull market, in the next 3 years from now, like my buddy Joe says. I try not to really care about if it's a bull or a bear trend, and just label it. It's at the end of the day, it's gone down 55, 60%. The money ain't there. You can track on chain. You can look at puts and things other people are doing. I think at the end of the day, it's all just a bunch of noise. I think people are just searching for a reason for it to think they're going to go where they want it to go. I've been up all night in a short trade, by the way, so forgive me if I can't get my words out. But I'm the one making money off this stuff. I've been short for the past 5 days. I've been making money every day. So at the end of the day, I don't see the money there. In fact, we're at lower lows. There's less money. I don't know, all these whales you guys are talking about that that are buying, and I know whales too that in the past have bought a bunch, and whales get wrecked. Whales are people too. And a lot of whales can afford to do it. In fact, they love getting wrecked, just like people are into weird-ass shit. People like getting abused.
I think that's a new shirt for your whale group. Whales are people, too. All right. You leave that idea freely.
I think, I want to.
The money ain't there. From what I can see, the money ain't there, and it's getting lower and lower and lower, and it can't support it. Now, eventually, it's got to turn. Eventually, there's going to be a bottom. But it don't look like it right now.
Yeah. Well, I want to make a real important distinction here because I understand what CryptoFace is saying from a guy's perspective that lives on the charts, which is not into necessarily hodling at all. I mean, all you do is trade, and your audience generally trades, and we have a lot of our audience that are strict traders as well. But what I would say is, whether it's a bear market or a bull market, it does matter for entry points for people who are looking for long-term holdings. So I understand what you mean. Like, look, just trade, be where it is, and make money. But the person coming into crypto for the first time, they need to kind of have a better understanding of what they're coming into, because if they're coming into in a price or to a chance where prices are low, they're going to be able to get some long-term investments. But if they come in when prices are high, they could be throwing money away in the short term. And that's why I think it really does matter whether we are in a bull market or a bear market, from a non-trading perspective, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. I'm not trying to just say like, oh, just trade, man. I'm saying like just code or whatever. But, it's you're right. I mean, you got to identify, you got to be careful. But if, like I said, people have to identify in their environment. And so if people are really wanting to buy right now, then they have to realize that those assets, when they're down 50%, 60%, it gets real ugly quick. And I think most people really have a problem spacing things out. Like, because I know I have a problem with it. Like, I bought in at 30 something K, like 20% or 25% of what I bought. And I said I wouldn't sell it, and I sold it. And like, yeah, I made a profit, whatever. Like, I have any case, whatever. But it's hard for me. It is really hard to hold on to an asset that's going down. I don't like it. That's why I don't like to do it.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, if you're DCAing, I mean, it might just be a thing where, maybe you're gonna have to DCA for a while before you're.
Dude. I think DCAing sucks. It's like, why double down? Why double down on a hand that's in the red? Like, if my trades are in the red, dude, I don't like doing that. I know it works for other people that hold for long term, and I think most people are like me, man. I think most people are closer to me and not Michael Saylor Wales.
Well, I will say this, personally speaking, and I can't speak for everybody here, I have a hard time leaving the tether on the sidelines. I get antsy, but let's go to the second topic here. And if you're wondering about that rain, we're not copying CryptoFace's stream. It is actually raining that hard. It's coming through the roof. It's coming through.
It rains every day at this time here.
Yeah.
It's rained every day at this time for like weeks. It's so
bizarre.
bizarre.
The bears
Every time
trying to
we're on
take
the
us
show.
down. So we're going to talk about Cardano here. Cardano boom or bust. There's been interesting things happening with Cardano lately, and there's the Falconer himself. And Cardano is launching their testnet to move closer to smart contracts. But there's a poly market. Basically, you can go online and bet for or against Cardano reaching smart contracts by October 1st. And right now, there's actually more people betting against Charles than betting with him and saying, you know what, you're not going to have smart contracts by October 1st. Dan, I know you're one of the main Cardano channels, so I want to ask you, how would you bet if you were to place, one Bitcoin on this? How would you bet? Are we going to have Cardano smart contracts by October 1st?
100%.
All right,
I would
the
bet,
Ada
I would
gang.
bet 100%.
Smash that like button, Ada gang.
No, like
he has great eyes. What trusting crystal blue eyes.
Well, thank you. You know what, and I think it's at 41 versus 59 right now, and I'm really surprised. Even if people don't like Cardano, that's totally cool. I'm one that I want to see every project succeed, right, in their own regard. Obviously, I'm way more long on Cardano than a lot of altcoins, but I'm really surprised that so many people are betting against Cardano. You have the Shelley hard fork, right, last summer that came to fruition beautifully, staking mechanism working flawlessly. Then you had the Mary hard fork and the multi-asset ledger in March flawlessly. And now we have Alonzo hard fork coming up. And, I think people that are doubting that or betting against it haven't really followed Cardano too closely, haven't really followed the infrastructure too closely of what IOHK is building. I run a recruiting firm and we recruit for crypto startups. And, the environment in which I see successful startups, not even in just crypto, is an environment in which I see IOHK operating and what they've been doing over the years. So I have full confidence in, smart contracts coming to mainnet, and that's it.
All right. Well, you heard it there. He's one of the main channels. So it's not just the Falcon, glimmering you, putting you in a trance, saying if you follow the tech, it looks good. Tom, I'm going to bring it to you. So like he said, IOHK, those who don't know, is Input Output Hong Kong. It's, the team behind Cardano. They are saying that they're, the testnet's going good. It's been deployed. Everything's, working smoothly. Do you think this is why the institutions are jumping in Cardano? Do you think they know, hey, we've looked at it. We've sent our army of, investigators. It's, they're looking at it. The forensic team, with the software, everything's good to go. Are you bullish on Cardano in the short term, or what are your feelings with that?
Actually, Cardano's chart since May, I've liked it. It's shown a little weakness here with the rest of the market, to be expected.
It had that huge run up to 250. It's right now just a little above $1 right now. So on a technical standpoint, then are you saying, or is it possible we're going to eclipse the 250, or does that look a little out of range?
With the rest of the market, for sure. If Bitcoin gets off its butt here, I think the chart looks solid as long as you're staying above. I guess we lost $1.31, but you haven't lost the dollar yet. I'm probably not the best person to ask about Cardano in institutional investment. But I will tell you, I would take that bet against Chris, not taking it live on air, but for a reason he might not suspect. So this wouldn't be something that I would be betting against Cardano. I would be betting honestly against crypto devs. If they give us a timeline, if they give us a date, I'm betting past that date. That's not Cardano. It's not anything. You know, they just never seem to hit their dates, honestly.
Yeah. So yeah, it's showing like, you know, a lot of people it's currently around 10, and he brought up a good point with the dollar resistance. A lot of times there's always going to be psychological resistance points, especially factors of 5 or 10. So whether it's 1 penny, 10 cents, $1, 10,000, you're always going to see these psychological barriers. Crypto, from a technical standpoint, if it goes below $1, are you seeing it like plummet into the 70s, 80s, or, you know, will it just kind of hover in the 90 to $1 range?
Cardano, you know, I briefly just looked at the chart real quick, and it to me it kind of just looks like a lot of other coins right now. We're just sitting on right below or on that daily 200 moving average. You know, what Cardano has for it, and I don't know too much about it, or all the mainnet launchers and cruise missiles, but it does have a community. And they've been waiting for a long time. They've been around since the beginning. So if they are able to, you know, launch something, I'm sure they will. They have a solid community. It's kind of why I like the whole Hex and Pulse. I'm not trying to shill, but great communities can really make something thrive.
We are well aware of the Hex community and the wrath that they wield. Ben, you've actually interviewed Charles.
The Cardano people, I'm trying to be nice, but I didn't mean to cut you off. But
go ahead.
Yeah, shit's gonna hit the fan with everything. You know what I mean? Everything's right there or already peaking, so nobody's safe. Nobody's safe.
All right, unless you have a falcon on your shoulder. So Ben, you actually interviewed Charles. Would you bet against the falconer?
Oh man, betting against the Falcons is always a good bet. Unfortunately, I've had to spend my whole life learning that lesson.
You still have it on your shoulder.
I do, to remind me of all the L's we've taken. Look, yeah, I know Charles and I both have Falcons on our shoulders. It's pretty interesting. What I would say is this, like Dan, I love you. I love your confidence in Cardano. And yes, the rollouts were great when they finally rolled out. You know, I'm a Cardano guy. We're starting our Cardano staking pool. Love it. But everything on Cardano gets delayed. It's already been delayed. I heard originally when they were talking about, you know, when they first pushed it back, I was hearing October is when they were talking about rolling it out, which should be, in my opinion, the peak of altcoin season. So it would kind of make sense. It could actually push things a lot further, which if you think about October for XRP could also be a big month. We could have the SEC lawsuit resolved by then. So it could be a good time for altcoins. But if you say September 1st, it's not a lack, it kind of like Tom said, it's not like a lack in confidence in Cardano. It's just a lack of confidence in devs to get the work done on time. I would definitely go over. Now, could be a week, could be 2 weeks. Maybe it's not going to be a long, drawn-out thing. We've already had one delay. But if you're telling me, like, I got to lay a bet down September 1st, am I in or out?
October 1st. It's October 1st.
I thought you said September 1st.
October.
That changes things, doesn't it, Ben?
No.
It does change things.
It
does change things.
Yeah. I see the hamster on the wheel starting to run. All right, well, Dan, I'll give you a chance to answer.
I'm still taking
quick.
the over. I'm still taking the over by a week.
Okay. Well, Dan, you know, like he said, it's not so much, or, you know, Tom said also, it's not so much, you know, Charles, but it's the developers. We've even seen little delays with EIP 1559, and even Vitalik on his last interview with Lex Friedman, you know, it went from late this year to probably January, February of next year. So things just get delayed all the time. You know, we see it in crypto all the time. What makes Cardano developers different than regular crypto developers?
I mean, you got to look at the infrastructure that's been built. And, you know, Ben just announced that, you know, well, he didn't just announce it, but he's going to be running a stake pool on Cardano. And I see it as more of the foundation that has been laid over the years, the ecosystem, the way that the staking mechanism is operating right now. You know, my buddy got me into Cardano big time. I mean, he sold me on it, and I was very hesitant, you know, to get too interested. But as I just continued following the project, And then I followed the launch of the Shelly testnet, and I was seeing how it was being introduced to the market and the successful launch of these things. That's why I kind of speak about Cardano and the launch of smart contracts with confidence, is because I think they're going to deliver in the same regard that Shelly was delivered, in the same regard that the multi-asset ledger was delivered in March. I think it's just completely going to happen, especially by October. So yeah, I mean,
so the Kool-Aid,
those are my thoughts.
Kool-Aid just kept tasting better and better and better every
that really
sip.
Is.
It
And
just kept tasting better.
Not to discount price either. I mean, you got to remember Cardano, and we should highlight this a little bit. Cardano's up like over 500% for the year. You know what I mean? Bitcoin up around 6%. So Cardano very much has just been performing really well from a technical analysis perspective as well. Really kind of holding strong in this little dip that we're all going through.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, look at Doge over from beginning of January. I think it was around what, a tenth of a penny. So yeah, I mean things do explode.
Can I say something actually? Do you
Go
mind
for
if
it,
I
man.
say something about that?
Of course.
Charles, from what I've obviously, he's like a super smart dude, and he's a developer. And developers, if you don't chop them, develop forever. They'll develop an ant farm into eternity. And so like I said, I'm not a developer guy. I guess I could say I am in some ways. I won't get too deep into like coding and stuff, but you got to stop developers. Developers are hard to have them work. They're hard to employ because they just keep going. You have to like smack them in order to get them to have a deadline and stop, or else they'll just keep wanting to perfect what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so I imagine that's an issue,
Yeah, I like to call that analysis paralysis. Sometimes you just have to be action based, action bias, and just move forward. And it's just good advice for life, the movers and the, but yeah, we could talk about the difference between ETH and ADA all day long with Vitalik. He's definitely more action biased. They got it out there versus Cardano, and I mean, look at the market caps of the two, but that kind of brings us to our last topic here. Can ETH pass 2K? We're seeing all types of, resistance breaking down. Like I said in the top of the show, Wendy kind of predicted if we don't hold a certain level, we're going to hit 18 almost exactly as she predicted. It happened. Looks like the first key resistance is like 23.51, but we're starting to see data that more and more ETH is being staked, and it's disappearing. It's getting locked up in DeFi. It's getting locked in validator nodes. Thousands of ETH every single day. It's just getting locked up. So Tom, I want to bring it to you. Like, is there any chance that we will see a supply crunch if we continue down this path, or can that be manipulated away?
Yeah, so Ethereum, I've been watching it, and I would
through
love
the shades
to believe
or without
that through the shades always.
Okay,
I'd love to believe one coin is gonna kind of rip away from the market and do
does that give you like T1000 vision? You give me your
vision.
boots, your jeans, and your Bitcoin.
Absolutely,
that's an old T2 reference.
Absolutely. Let me pop something up here. So I would love to believe kind of one coin's going to rip away from the market. I've never seen it at least be able to sustain that if it does. And something about this chart freaks me out a little bit. So there's becoming some similarities. I think maybe Face had touched on that, but there's some similarities here at these peaks that we saw in 2018. And now we may have seen in May again. You have this build up, multiple tests of a resistance, and you break it, you come back and test it, and you get that bounce. And so if we look at price action now, it's pretty similar. We have kind of this ranging resistance. We broke it. We came back, and now we don't have that bounce yet. That's really what's making these different in my mind. And to see that play out, that would put it at about 3,000. So that could be some good news depending on your stance here in Ethereum. But maybe that lines up. Last time I was here, I was talking about 48K for Bitcoin. Maybe that lines up with Ethereum's 3,000. I'm still a bull. I didn't get to weigh in. I'm still a bull too. Probably always going to be, even if price keeps going down. But we've been hanging out. BitBoy said it.
I can relate.
Price for 2 months, and it's all the scariest, spookiest stuff you can imagine, and nothing's happening.
Yeah.
You know what, dude? So when we've been under that 200-day, like when we've been under the 200-day moving average with Ethereum, Bitcoin, 30 to 60 days is the time it has to bounce up. Every single time it would bounce up, not to all-time high, but like come up again halfway, then down. Like I think ETH, if it has a bounce up, it could go up to like 2K and then go down lower. But we are at that 60 days. And so every single time it's 30 or 15, but most of the time 30 days, 60 days. And so time's running out, man.
History doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. So, you know, be careful when people say, oh, this time's different, because largely it isn't. So I want to bring this question to you, Ben. I was looking at something kind of interesting. So we all know, you know, EIP 1559, they're going to go from proof of work to proof of stake. They're saying ETH isn't going to be quite deflationary, but it's going to lower dramatically. So right now, ETH's annual inflation is around 4.5%. After it upgrades to 2.0, they're saying it's going to drop to about 0.5%. And I saw someone compare this to, it's equal to 3 Bitcoin halvings, which I never really thought of it that way, because, you know, if it cuts in half, it's like 2.25, then 1 and some change, and then about 0.5%. Is there, can you see like any similarities there? Would it like equate to something similar to a triple halving, or are we all just making up numbers?
Well, we're certainly making up words. I mean, having is a made-up word. I always liked havening better.
You know what? I got pushback on havening.
I know, and I did too. That's why we stopped saying it. But I feel like having is like too nerdy. It's like it's saying a word that people hear and they know what it means.
It's like we're talking about cells
now it has a different meaning.
Yeah.
So I liked havening because it seemed to just distinguish it. And when you're trying to explain the having to a pleb, to a new person in crypto, the word havening like kind of separates it a little bit. It makes it sound different. But anyways, that's just a personal pet peeve. I like havening better, but we just use having on the channel.
Havening henceforth on BitBoy.
But the havening, bro.
I like havening, dude. I really like it. Oh, okay, so look, we're certainly making up words, but I think that really when you look at this like a triple halving, I mean, this is a one-time event that's going to control the inflation of Ethereum. I really want to see some real numbers on this. I really want to, like, after we have EIP 1559 instituted, I want to see what's going to happen over the next 1 year afterwards and see what the supply is going to look like. Like, let's literally take a snapshot of the date and how much the supply is, and then 1 year, let's take a snapshot and see where it's at. Because here's what's really interesting is they said this year so far, I think we would have lost 3 million Ethereum, but there's still more Ethereum being, you know, brought into the supply. So I don't know what that ultimately equates to. But in my understanding of EIP 1559, the burn, the Ethereum that's getting burned is only during times of higher congestion, right? When there's low congestion on the network, I don't think there will be as much burn. And when you think about a bear market, if we go into a bear market next year, while I think the rest of this year we can see some positive stuff, if you look at next year, the congestion should be much lower on the Ethereum network because people aren't going to be as interested in it. We see it every 4 years. So that'll be something really, you know, that we should watch and be intrigued, see what that looks like during a bear market. So I think when bull markets, we're going to see that number, you know, rise of how much is getting burned. But I think, look, I mean, I've certainly not been silent on this topic. EIP 1559 is going to make a fundamental change to the price of Ethereum. I mean,
and that's interesting too, because as it goes down, usage is lower, the price is going to be lower. So if they're making more ETH, it's just going to push down harder, and it's just going to pop up higher. But so yeah, this is an interesting way to build that. Yeah. All right, well, that's about all the time we got for it, but I do have one rapid-fire question, and since, you know, we were talking about Cardano, we're talking about ETH, I want to ask, what are you more bullish on over the next 8 years, ETH or ADA? Tom, I'm going to start with you.
Oh, man. You know, ETH has a lot of uncertainty ahead of it with the changes from proof of work to proof of stake. This has never been done at scale. I think it could be really cool, but we don't have the history. I'm a big look back at the charts guy. Its market cap is already number 2, so I think ADA could have more comparatively room to grow in that sense. That's probably piggybacking off of that uncertainty I have.
All right. Well, you have mirrored shade, so looking at you, I'm looking back at your charts. Ben, over the next 8 years, ETH or ADA, what are you more bullish on?
Yeah, I think at first when you asked, I was like, oh, God, I'm in a corner. Like, this is my love triangle I'm in all the time. One of these communities can be mad at me.
You love love triangles.
I do love triangles. I need to go get a pineapple shirt. So listen, here's what I think. I think the answer is pretty obvious. I think that the answer is Cardano. I think it's ADA. And the reason is very similar to what Tom was saying. I mean, look, Ethereum's already number 2. I think it's got a lot of potential to flip Bitcoin. I think it will flip Bitcoin eventually. But Cardano doesn't even have a network built yet, you know? So once this network is built and we see what it can do, I think the potential in the ceiling is higher. Because even if Cardano were to, you know, stay at number 3, it could still actually grow more than Ethereum because Ethereum's already at number 2. You know what I mean? When you look at the market cap of Ethereum, it dwarfs that of, you know, the next projects on the list. So it's not a shot at Ethereum. I do think Ethereum has extremely high potential. I think it just as easily could be Ethereum, but I'm going to go with Cardano because, you know, it's lower in the rankings. The market cap is much lower. And I think eventually it can be just as good as Ethereum, if not better.
And to answer your pineapple question, the answer is always yes, Ben. And I know you'll give me a raise. We're going to take it to Dan here. Over the next 8 years, ETH or Cardano, what are you more bullish on?
Definitely Ethereum.
Oh,
I'm kidding.
Wow.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
You got me.
I was trying to get the
me.
ETH holders in the comments to just hit that one button.
And Max in chat donated to give you 1,000 likes, so we can't give you 1,000, but we'll give you 2 just for tricking us there. That was good.
So with what Ben was saying, I mean, it's such a good point. I mean, Ethereum's at over 200 billion market cap. Cardano's at like 30 some billion. So the gap there is huge. But we live in this and we invest in this speculative environment where foresight can give you ridiculous gains. And just assuming smart contracts come to Cardano, that gap between Ethereum and Cardano, that market share gap is just up for grabs right now. And we're talking about that DeFi explosion that everybody's anticipating. You know, we saw Grayscale, what they're about to launch with their fund, DeFi fund. Big money hasn't even come into Cardano yet. And so that DeFi explosion and the smart contracts coming, I think, is just the perfect setup, the perfect launch pad when crypto markets right now being oversold. It's just perfect.
Okay, so with smart contracts on the horizon, more room for upside. I like that. And CryptoFace, over 8 years, what are you more bullish on, ETH or ADA?
It's kind of, you know, I only know so much about, you know, what I know. This is a vast space, and I know a lot of people are excited about Cardano and have read about it and know every single problem that they're trying to fix. But to me, it'd be like picking a high school team over the Patriots. You know, the high school team, I have good players later on, but the Patriot, Tom Brady's getting Super Bowls already. And so, you know, I'll go with Ethereum. Yeah, as far as price action, like, you know, it's a dollar coin right now. So sure, if they execute something, obviously there could be some nice spikes and some nice gains to have. So, you know, if we're talking about price action or usability, you know, I don't know. You know, there's a bit. It's I don't know. But I made more money with ETH. Cardano's riskier as far as trading right now, percentage-wise, and ETH's pretty risky already as it is. So I don't know. You know, we'll see, but promising a lot. We'll see if they deliver. And man.
All right, what if it was a high school filled with Tom Brady's and Giselle's children? Would they stand a chance?
Well, that's a different story. You know what I'm saying? But we don't know that yet. And
we don't know it yet.
I'll take
Tom,
one Tom Brady's too,
there would be a lot of kissing on the lips. I know that.
Yes. If you don't know what he's talking about, just Google Tom Brady kissing on the lips. Actually, you know what? Don't Google that. This is a family-friendly show, and that's all we got for the Pineapple Talks today. It was a great episode. I hope y'all enjoyed it. It looks like CryptoFace stole it at the end just by him saying Ethereum, basically, man. You almost had a little tie there, Dan. CryptoFace, tell the people what they need to hear and why you're not a scammer.
Damn, dude, you've been on fire today, bro. You've been on fire. Geez, man, you know, listen, it's just, I know everyone wants to be, you know, whatever. I'm not a perma-bear, man. I'm not a perma-bear. I just, all I do is just follow the money and what works for me. and I just see the money being less and less, not off what people say, but off of the facts. And the facts are the money ain't there. And who knows? We're at a lower low right now. It could be the bottom. ETH, actually, I looked at ETH right now on the daily, and absolutely looks like it could come up to maybe 2,000 one more time. Not saying it's all going to crash and go to hell right now, but we might go up a little bit before it all hits the fan.
Well, you DJ traders, make sure you check those indicators, and we might have a little pop up. BitSquad, that's all we have time for today. Thank you so much for the 1,000,000 sub button. We got it in. Thank you, YouTube, and Easy out.